put aside his wacko ideology long enough to give Canadians a break by axing all the taxes on fuel for summer vacation.
It's not ideology to understand that fighting climate change and growing the economy while putting money in people's pockets is a good thing, because that's exactly what this government has done.
For God's sakes, why won't he give Canadians a summer vacation from all his taxes and accept our common sense plan?
The Conservative leader isn't focused on affordability. He's focused on ending action on climate change.
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre today pushing the Prime Minister for a fuel tax summer break, as you heard. There's a new twist, though, to that familiar debate. The opposition has focused a decent amount of its carbon tax criticism on a Parliamentary Budget Office report that found most Canadians would be worse off for the tax. Last month, though, the PBO quietly published a note announcing there had been an error in their initial analysis and promised an update. Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland's parliamentary secretary wrote to the office in a letter that reads, in part, "As you can appreciate, this raises significant questions about reports that have been at the center of a leading political debate in Canada. At a time when misinformation on carbon pricing is running rampant, this is deeply unfortunate, as your office has a well-earned reputation for nonpartisan and rigorous analysis. Going forward," the letter goes on to say, "I request that you commit to releasing a more publicly accessible correction of your analysis." Yves Giroux is the Parliamentary Budget Officer. Hi, Mr. Giroux. Great to have you back on the program. Thank you for making the time.
My pleasure.
Let's start off with the notice issued, or the posting that indicates that your analysis, as it has been completed on the price on carbon, did also include the industrial price on carbon. What is the impact of that?
So the issue at hand is that when we want to estimate the economic impact of a policy such as carbon pricing, we know the impact because it's already in place. So we have to have a counterfactual to see what the economy would be like without the carbon pricing regime. So what we wanted to do was to isolate the impact of the carbon tax itself, but we inadvertently also included the impact of the industrial pricing regime. So the likely impact is that we may have slightly overestimated the economic impact of the carbon tax, because what we intended to do was to just measure that part, but we also included the economic impact of the industrial emissions part. So the likely impact is that we may have put a little bit too much weight or negative economic consequences on the carbon tax, but that should not, based on what we saw so far, that should not affect the overall conclusions of our reports.
Okay, and let me sort of ask you about that and remind our viewers what those conclusions were. And please do correct me if I'm wrong. If I remember right, you assessed the fiscal impact and then the economic impact. And in the first case, you found that more Canadians would be better off. In the second case, when it came to the overall economic impact, slightly more Canadians would be worse off. And you know as well as everyone watching, both of those things became political talking points depending on which political party was using them. So in the case of the economic impact, would that mean that the conclusion you reach that slightly more Canadians are worse off when you take it all into account is perhaps wrong?
Not wrong. I think it will still be the case, because we found that the vast majority of people, depending on the jurisdictions, but overall, a vast majority of people will be worse off under a carbon pricing regime than without. And we don't expect that to change. It's just that the dollar amounts will probably change a bit. And for some income quintile that were marginally better off or marginally worse off, that could change a bit. But the overall conclusions that the vast majority of households are worse off with a carbon pricing regime than without, that I'm confident will still remain. And that's based on our own preliminary analysis, but also on discussions we've had with government officials and also stakeholders.
Yeah, I just want to dig deeper into that for a moment, if you don't mind. How are you so sure, basically? Because the industrial carbon price isn't small. Industry is a big part, of course, of overall emissions. How are you so sure that it will just change things a bit?
Because for the industrial emitters, it's an output-based pricing system where 80% of emissions are free. So industrial emitters don't pay anything on 80% of their emissions, they pay on average on the 20%, the top 20% of their emissions. Again, on average, it's industry specific and it's designed to gradually implement emissions reductions. However, many industrial emitters were already on a path to decarbonization by virtue of shareholder pressure, stakeholder pressure. So it's perceived as efficient and not very costly to do emissions reduction on the industrial emitters because of the fact that the vast majority of their emissions are already free of charge, contrary to people who fill up their gas tank where the first liter of gas you buy is subject to carbon tax, or the first cubic meter of gas you use in your home is subject to the carbon tax. There's no exemption or basic amount that's not taxed, contrary to industrial emitters. And based on our discussions with government officials and outside stakeholders, they're also of the same view.
Will you do a formalized reanalysis, essentially, of the conclusions you reached building in the industrial carbon price?
Our plan is to update our report to take into account what we just discussed, but also the heating oil carve-out, as well as the fact that we have new data that's come in since the last report in 2023, and also that some provinces have since joined the federal backstop regime. So we plan on doing that. Work is underway, so that should be ready in the second half of this year, probably in the fall.
And before I let you go, Mr. Giroux, I do have to ask you about the political aspect of all of this. We've spoken many times on this program about the degree to which the price on carbon, the carbon tax, is a political football. Part of the reason that this became public is because a Liberal MP is kind of calling out you and your office for not being more forthright about the fact that this wasn't included, for just kind of putting a notice on your website. Does he have a point? Should you have been more public about this, given the degree to which this is political?
I don't think he has a point, to be honest, because we put that notice on our website. We also put notices on the web pages that host the two reports that we did on that. We reached out to parliamentarians. We also know that environment and climate change and government officials in general were fully aware of the issue because some of them asked us questions, parliamentarians asked us questions, and various stakeholders also reached out to us and asked questions. And in fact, I think making a big show of this could have been counterproductive without having updated numbers. So we will release an updated report, and I'm confident that these numbers will not be significantly changed compared to our previous reports.
If I could respectfully challenge you, Mr. Giroux, just with hindsight, sure. I take the point that you're making, but now, you know, now one side has the ability to say it's almost like you were hiding this and call into question the veracity of the original numbers you put forth.
Well, again, as I said, based on people's knowledge of this, those inside government who know the output-based pricing regime and the federal carbon pricing system, as well as outside stakeholders, people are generally of the view that this will not have a material impact on the numbers, and certainly not on the overall conclusion that when you impose a carbon tax or a carbon pricing regime on an economy that is as dependent on fossil fuels as Canada is, it's bound to have negative economic impacts.
Okay, I'll leave it on that note. Mr. Giroux, appreciate your time as always. Thank you so much.
A pleasure.
It's Yves Giroux, the Parliamentary Budget Officer. The front bench is standing by to talk